We're going to have to leave that question and answer session of the Deputy President in the National Council of Provinces. He's addressed a number of questions around ESCOM, around youth unemployment, and also last month's violence and looting. And for now here on eNCA, we're going to take you live down to Phoenix, where slain whistleblower Babita Deokaran is being laid to rest this afternoon. The senior Gauteng Health official was shot multiple times outside her home in Johannesburg on Monday. She was a witness in the SIU investigation into Gauteng's PPE corruption. Proceedings have begun. Let's take you live there.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a few more things quickly. It's just been brought to our attention that the funeral is being broadcast live on eNCA and New Zealand Africa. That's where you'll see the mics coming forward. And then we are also honored today with so many officials from the Department of Health in Gauteng that have come down, Babita's staff, her friends, and her colleagues, whom loved her very, very much. And we are thankful that you are here with us today as well. And anyone else that has traveled from far and wide, and everybody else, we are thankful for your presence with us today. Thank you. I think we can proceed with the viewing. Thank you. We are also grateful to MEC Ravi Pillay from KZN, who is here with us today as well. Please respect. Ladies and gentlemen, we will commence with our program at this time. As I said, I am Rene Assad, Babita's nephew, and I will be taking you to today's program. We also ask that all of our speakers be in readiness, and when you come forward, we ask that you sanitize before you come to the podium as well. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you on this very, very sad occasion. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to begin firstly by opening in prayer. So at this time, we're going to call forward Babita Deokaran, who will be accompanied by her fiancé, Suvir, and she will be opening for us in prayer. She is a niece of Babita, and she spent 8 years living with Babita in her house as a daughter as well. So we're going to call Manisha forward right now. She is the daughter of Babita's eldest brother, Suresh.
Let us please bow our heads in prayer. Om Bhur Bhava Swaha Tatsat Vitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodaya. Om Bhur Bhava Swaha Tatsat Vitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodaya. Om Bhur Bhava Swaha Tatsat Vitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodaya. We meditate on the glory of the Creator who has created the universe, who is worthy of worship, who is the embodiment of knowledge and light, who is the remover of sin and ignorance. May He open our heart and enlighten our intellect. My beautiful Bata, I love you, my Bata, my superwoman, my support structure. One woman army and a force to be reckoned with. You have left me shattered, and now I'm not even sure that time will heal this wound. I will wait for the day that I get to see you again. Till then, I will embody you in my heart and my soul. I love you.
Thank you, Manisha. Ladies and gentlemen, next up I'm going to call forward Dr. Riola Haripasad Guria, and she's going to read the obituary for us this afternoon. She is also a niece of Babita's. They're very, very close, and she is the daughter of Babita's sister Shamila, and she happens to be my sister, Riola. She is accompanied by her husband, Mr. Wesley Courier.
It is with a sad heart today that I have to read out the obituary of my mentor and second mum, Babita. Babita Deokaran, more affectionately known to her family as Bata or Babs, was born on the 30th of November 1968 in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, the sixth child to Mr. and Mrs. Motilal and Cicely Deokaran. They knew she was something special right from the get-go when her dad broke the chain of naming his kids with the letter S. Babita was the first pupil to be enrolled at Green Heights Primary School, this very school we sit at today. In 1978, when the school opened its doors, she was only in Standard 2. She later went on to attend Daleview Secondary School, where she excelled in leaps and bounds, holding the position of head girl for 2 years in a row. This had never happened before and has never happened since. She started off her illustrious career at the Administration House of Delegates in Durban, fresh out of school in 1987. At the tender age of 19, she left the comfort of home and went on to work as a PA for a Member of Parliament in Cape Town. She relocated to Johannesburg in 1997, where Babita went on to hold various positions in the government during her career, which spanned over 30 years. She was currently the Director of Financial Accounting and acting CFO of the Gauteng Department of Health. She obtained her qualification in local government finance through the University of South Africa. In 2005, Babita became a mum to Tiara, who was and will forever be her world. The bond they share is second to none. She was her mum, best friend, and confidant. Her entire world and routine revolved around the love for her daughter. She was also the employer of Margaret, who has worked for her for somewhat 25 years. They were more sisters than employee and boss. Through the years, Babita's kind and generous nature was proven by the number of people she helped. She was an exemplary civil servant who diligently served the government of South Africa for over 30 years. Her integrity and courage to stand up for what was right was second to none. She was a woman of worth, a force to be reckoned with. Her love for her job and her employees were displayed by the wonderful relationships she had with them. They were such a large part of her life that we, her family, know a lot of them personally. She was a mentor not only to her work colleagues, but also to her nieces and nephews alike. She has nurtured so many of us into becoming doctors, accountants, lawyers, board members, and various other career-driven individuals. We only fly high today because we stand on shoulders of giants like my precious dear aunt. Babita was first and foremost a magnificent mom, a beautiful daughter, a superb sister, a doting aunt, a caring sister-in-law, a sweet cousin, and a wonderful boss. She was the ultimate influencer to us all, a forward thinker, as she would call herself. Nothing will ever be able to fill this huge void that has been left in our family. Our world has come crashing down. We are left shattered and devastated by her untimely death. Babita, you died a hero, not only to your family, but for all the peace-loving, honest citizens of South Africa. A strong and courageous woman who stood up for what was right and was not afraid to speak out against ruthless wrongdoers. Your legacy, Bata, lives on in each and every one of us every day. You will be dearly missed, always loved, and never, not even for 1 second, forgotten. Today, you leave behind your beautiful daughter, Tiara, your 6 siblings, Meera, Suresh, Shamila, Charlene, Rakesh, and Renu, and her late brother-in-law, her late brother, whose wife is present with us, Sunil, her 4 brother-in-laws, 3 sister-in-laws, 15 nieces and nephews, 5 grandchildren, and a host of family, friends, and colleagues. Go well, my dear aunt. Fly high with the angels. Watch over our precious Tiara. May your soul rest in eternal peace. Totsiens, Hambakashli, good night.
Thank you. Next up, we have a tribute from her ex-House of Delegates colleagues. And for that, I'm going to call forward her brother-in-law, my dad, Pastor Tony Haripasad, to read that for us.
Dear beloved, I greet you this afternoon with a very heavy heart, being the brother-in-law of Babita, who happened to be my favorite for close to 40 years in the family. When she matriculated in 1987. I was then employed at the House of Delegates, where I served as a senior state accountant for many years. I had the opportunity of taking this favorite daughter-in-law of mine to work with me at House of Delegates. We spent many years together before I left and went into full-time church ministry, and she continued and excelled. The former staff of Administration House of Delegate has sent in a tribute, which I want to read, and the tribute was written for us by Mr. Segi and Shireen, his wife, Mr. Segi Chetty and his wife Shireen, that also served with us at the Administration House of Delegates. Shireen and I, together with all Babita's former colleagues, recall a young lady being introduced to the public service over 30 years ago by you, and they make reference to me. Despite this being a temporary assignment, her hardworking, smart attributes saw her getting a permanent appointment. Unlike so many of our equally competent finance colleagues, Babita boldly left the shores of Durban for the city of gold, where she was recognized for her financial management skills and rewarded with a high-level financial management responsibilities, culminating in her holding the post of acting CFO for over a year at the time of her untimely passing. In fact, in our memory, we recall that Babita had accomplished the highest rank of public finance amongst a female colleague in the House of Delegates Department. And to that I want to say the family are very proud of that achievement. Though we are all still reeling from the sudden death of our dear friend Babita, we are humbled and touched by her integrity, honesty, and resilient manner in which she carried out her public service duties, never giving in to the corruption that is plaguing our country presently. We salute you, Babita. You are a national hero, leaving a legacy of a true public servant. God's strength to her daughter and the rest of the Deokaran family. With love from Segi, Shireen, and all former House of Delegate employees. Thank you.
Thank you to the former House of Delegates, so the ex-House of Delegates colleagues, and Pastor Tony for reading that to us this afternoon. Next up, we have a tribute from the MEC of the Gauteng Department of Health, MEC Dr. Nomathemba Mokethi, and that will be read by Rose Pasha from the department, and she will be accompanied by Themba, who was very close to Babita, and I do apologize that I do not know his surname today. So I'll hand you over to Rose Pasha with the tribute from the MEC at this time.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and thank you very much to the Deokaran family, and extending also the greetings to MEC in the province of KZN. The tribute from MEC Dr. Nomathemba Mokethi to Babita Deokaran and family. Gauteng Department of Health is confronted with the most difficult time, where we have sent our condolences and saying goodbye to one of the most dedicated and senior employee in the department. We are in a deep shock and left with utter disbelief that while we commemorating the month designated for women excellence and pride, ironically, we have to find ourselves mourning the tragic and inhuman passing of Babita Deokaran. Ms. Babita Deokaran was a key woman figure in the department, serving as the Chief Director Financial Accounting. Over the years, she has amassed a lot of technical experience and was highly knowledgeable in the public service. She was appointed in the public service on 9th of May 1988 as an accounting clerk and joined the Gauteng Department of Health on the 7th of March 2006. There she joined it as a deputy director. She was a valuable senior personnel who understood the core values of ethical leadership, and I believe ethical leadership. While she strived for public service and administration that led to the effective service delivery, she understood that poor work and ethics in leadership position often result in poor public service delivery. In her responsibilities, she fully implemented Public Finance Management Act guiding principles without fear of contradiction. She ensured that the systems of financial management are modernized and efficient, and further ensuring that waste and maladministration in the public, in the use of public assets are eliminated. She was also an honest person, hardworking and reliable. But let me add on to say she was also dependable. She did her work diligently. She always went an extra mile to assist others, going beyond her scope of operation to ensure that work is done as required and as expected. She worked with the collective with exceptional interpersonal relation qualities, possessing remarkable emotional intelligence. She was a joy to work with, very easy to understand, and there was never a dull moment with Babita. This was an ambitious person. She was appointed in various positions, and wherever she was appointed, she effected qualitative changes. She produced tangible results and often led the way towards transformation. Ms. Babita was action-orientated. She never let challenges of the department to linger for a longer period without being addressed, and she would take a lead in addressing those. This is because she understood the implication that comes with the lack of implementing our annual departmental plan to ensure that services are being rendered to our various communities. She was often the first senior member who would sound the alarms and alert the team that were either needed to be prioritized and goals posed to or expedite the pace at which services are rendered to the people. She was always responsive to the people's needs. Furthermore, she promoted transparency, always providing accurate information. She exercised openness as enshrined in the Batopele principles, understanding that government information provides insight and it is the foundation on which various stakeholders can evaluate effectiveness of the public service. She submitted important information that requires to do so. She never intentionally misinformed or withheld information from those seeking it. She was a dependable source of information. Babita was highly helpful in processes of legislature questions. I was never worried about the authenticity of the statistical data provided by her office because I knew Babita would take the lead in compiling that information. And I could always respond in the legislature with confidence and certainty. She had massive knowledge regarding her work, always providing innovative ways to augment the manner in which our government is conducting business with citizens. With her, it was never business as usual, but colleagues were inspired to work within modern ways of doing things without the systems of practical and results-driven initiatives. Most of all, Ms. Babita was a mother, a sister, and a daughter to her family. And we saw that in her profile pictures because she always had her families around her. And we knew that Babita was a glue that held that family together. Babita was a life wire, even in the department. We depended on her, even as we were writing our management report in terms of the audit. This past weekend, we had a session, and Babita was taking the lead in compiling that. And from the MEC, she wants to thank you and to ask you to find an understanding of what is it that God has called Babita to become, a real public servant, a real woman, and a woman of strength, who had all the love for her country. And for that, I salute Babita and say, woman power. Babita, your spirit will live on. Thank you.
Thank you to MEC Dr. Nomathemba Moketi and Rose Pasha and the other colleagues as well. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have a family tribute, and this will be done by Karishma Rambali, who is the eldest grandchild of Mr. and Mrs. Motilal Deokaran, the late Mr. and Mrs. Motilal Deokaran, and she will be accompanied by many of her cousins as well. She will be followed with a message from Mrs. Margaret Koa and family, and that will be read by Nikesh Preetipal.
Mum, daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, you name it. That is how Babita Deokaran described herself on her social media accounts. This is exactly what she was, and those relationships embodied so much more to us, her family. I am Karishma Rambali, Babita's eldest niece, affectionately called Batha by those near and dear to her. Our family is shattered at the tragic loss of one so dear, so beautiful, and one so loved by us all. Babita was a pillar of strength to our family, our go-to girl, the one we could depend on no matter what the circumstances. She showed love, support, and care right from the eldest member of our family to the youngest member of our family. As a daughter, she ensured her late parents, especially our grandmother, was well cared for. She was a reliable, trustworthy, and loyal sister who often went the extra mile to help without ever expecting anything in return. Babita encouraged all her nieces and nephews to educate themselves and become successful and independent individuals, and had a hand in making many of our milestones and goals a reality. In 2007, when I received a job opportunity in Johannesburg, my Aunt Batha did not hesitate to offer me a place to stay. Thank you, Batha, for giving me the stepping stone that you did, which has elevated me to where I am today. Her selfless nature was shown to us all when she took care of her sister-in-law and late brother as little as 2 months ago when they were ill. Her world revolved around her daughter, Tiara, who she often called her life, her gold, her everything. She was very diligent in her career and would often be working till the late hours of the night. Batha was a trendsetter, a trailblazer, a woman with vision, drive, ambition, a role model to young and old alike. She always took pride in her appearance, whether it was for a work or a simple trip to a mall. Someone who taught us that you can do anything you put your mind to. She always advocated for girls to be independent and to be able to provide for themselves. Batha, we already miss your messages to check up on us daily. We will miss your updates on everything from politics to pop culture to sport and to traffic. Babita was involved in many charitable drives that further reinforce the selfless and kind person she was. My aunt had a zest for life. She was full of love, laughter, and joy. She loved cooking, listening to Bollywood music, watching cooking shows even in languages she didn't understand. She loved traveling and had many future plans for her and her daughter. She was a person of faith and devotion in her religion and frequently visited temples to offer her respect and also partake in numerous religious festivals. Her favorite festival being Diwali, which she starts weeks ahead planning and preparing divine and mouth-watering delectables, with chevda being her signature dish. On the day, her dining table would be in abundance of eats and boxes that she would lovingly prepare to distribute among family and friends. By evening, her home was filled with diyas lighting the way. We have lost an invaluable, irreplaceable part of our family. The void we feel will never be filled. Our hearts are completely broken. We will forever cherish the memories that we have with Bata and are absolutely lucky and blessed to have her in our lives. Her quick-witted humor and sincere and wise advice will be dearly missed. She was someone we could entirely depend on, and as we hold this longing for her in our hearts, we will live our lives to reflect the legacy that she has instilled in us, and will continue to pray that we can be people of power and humility, of abounding love and grace, just as she was. Bata, you are and always will be our hero. Our love for you will never fade, and we will make you proud. We love you forevermore.
Thank you, Karishma. Next, we have one of Bata's nephew-in-laws, who were more like son-in-laws, Nikesh.
Tribute from Maggie. I would like to greet everyone here, especially the Deokaran family and Babita's daughter, in this sorrow moment where we have lost an innocent life. My name is Margaret Kowa. I knew Babita 22 years ago when I started working for her, as until Monday, 23rd of August 2021. And what a humble, caring, strong, honest person I worked for, and I didn't feel like a helper or a nanny to her child, as I was treated like family and felt like I belonged as a sister to her. At times she would ask me, Maki, what should I do? And whatever advice I would give her, she would listen and take without hesitation. But today I am here to say goodbye to my friend, young sister, my boss, only because of perpetrators who took a life away from us, right in front of my eyes. Me and my child, who are not here, we would like to say thank you, and we appreciate everything that you have done for us. Tiara, my child, I just want to let you know I am here for you. I know it's not easy, but be strong like your mom. Rest in peace, my boss, my friend. You will always be missed by me and my kids. Love, Maggie.
Thank you to Maggie and the Kowa family. You are family to us. Next up, we have a tribute from Babita's high school educator and the ex-principal of Hopeful Primary, Mr. Benny Maestri. And this will be read by Babita's niece, Priyanka Ramgula.
In the words of Mr. Benny Maestri, and I quote, I had the pleasure of being the teacher of most of the Deokaran siblings. I also knew their mother. She was a humble, hard-working soul and took great care of all her children. Of all the children, Babita was my favorite.
When she entered high school, she was immaculately dressed with a black blazer. I remember complimenting her on her blazer. In the class, she was always meticulous, hardworking, and became the leader in my class. After me, she was second in charge. Babita was destined for a great future. She matriculated and went on to study. She reached the position of Chief Director in the Department of Health in the finance section. In school, accounting was her favorite subject. We are all so proud of her achievements. It is sad that Babita had to leave us at such a young age under such tragic circumstances. The legacy she leaves behind will continue forever. Our condolences to the Deokaran family. May her soul rest in peace. End quote.
Thank you to Mr. Benny Maestri for that tribute. Next up, I'm going to call forward Mr. Wesley Guria, who is also a nephew-in-law, more son-in-law, like I said, of Babita, and he's going to read to us a letter from the KZN MEC, Mr. Sishle Zikalela. The Premier of KZN, Mr. Sishle Zikalela.
Thank you, Program Director. I've been tasked to read this letter today from the Office of the Premier. To the Deokaran family, KwaZulu-Natal Premier, Mr. Sishle Zikalela, expresses his condolences to the family of Babita Deokaran. On behalf of the provincial government and the people of KwaZulu-Natal, I would like to convey my sincerest condolences to you as the family of Babita Deokaran. Just like all the peace-loving people of our country, we are shocked and deeply saddened to learn of a cold-blooded killing on Monday. Losing any loved one is a painful experience, but it is more painful when you lose them in a manner like this. We reiterate the calls made by our counterparts in Gauteng, where she worked, that the law must take its course and that the killers must be brought to book. Ms. Deokaran was a model civil servant who worked hard and ethically in service of this nation. She still had a lot to contribute to this country. Indeed, not only Gauteng, but the entire country is poorer with her passing. Her death comes at a time when, as a country, we are embarking on efforts to build a capable state. The process of building an ethical and capable state requires a dedicated army of ethical civil servants like Ms. Deokaran. In honor of Ms. Deokaran and many others like her, we will continue to intensify our fight against corruption. We wish you all the strength during this difficult time. May you take comfort that Ms. Deokaran's life was lived in service to the public. We hope that many other civil servants will be inspired by her example, hard work, and ethical leadership, and work towards improving our state machinery. Signed by Mr. Sishle Zikalela, Premier of KwaZulu-Natal.
Thank you, Wesley. Next up, we have a letter from the Active Citizens Movement, and this will be read by Karishma's eldest nephew-in-law, Prishen Rambali, who also lived with her in Johannesburg for a period of time.
Good afternoon, one and all. The Active Citizens Movement, ACM, together with the ACM Whistleblowers Support Group, express our outrage and anger at the assassination of Babita Deokaran on the 23rd of August 2021. She believed and stood by her principles of integrity, honesty, and morality, and fought fiercely and relentlessly against fraud and corruption. Her contribution to our case as whistleblowers and her tremendous sacrifice will not be in vain, as we will continue to fight unceasingly for the protection of whistleblowers across the country. We will also unremittingly strive to hold the SIU accountable and endeavor to ensure that they keep their promise to leave no stone unturned in the efforts to expose perpetrators responsible for Babita's untimely death. At this hour of our family's greatest difficulty and grief, please accept our sincere condolences. We may not have known Babita personally, but we are most honored to recognize her as a fellow whistleblower who braved the corruption and stood steadfast by the truth and ethics. Babita's memory will live on, and she will be emulated as a woman who did not go gently into that good night. May she be remembered as a warrior who would not bow to abusive power and persecution, but who persevered unwaveringly and unflinchingly against those who believed themselves to be untouchable. May her soul rest in eternal peace, with sincere sympathies from Yashika Padyachi, acting chairman of the Active Citizens Movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Prisha. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read a tribute we have received from Mr. Praveen Gordhan, the Minister of Public Enterprises in South Africa. A message of condolences and solidarity to the Deokaran family. My deepest condolences to the immediate family of Ms. Babita Deokaran, her extended family, and her colleagues in the Gauteng province on her shocking passing. I join thousands of South Africans in applauding the late Ms. Deokaran's efforts to expose and oppose corruption in the government health sector. Clearly, her assassination has revealed the underworld of criminal corruption which harms the poorest of South Africans, those in greatest need among our health workers and patients who need the best care. But the rogues inside government and in the business community get rich. The late Ms. Deokaran is a hero. She must be commended and celebrated. She must be the example of a dedicated public servant. Her life and work must inspire hundreds of thousands of politicians and officials to emulate her integrity, honesty and courage. To the Deokaran family, honest South Africans in government and among all our communities share your sorrow and loss. Babita sacrificed her future so the generations to come can live in a better, corruption-free and safer country. You can be proud of the work she did, the bravery and values she displayed in challenging corruption, and the symbol she is and will become of a truly dedicated public servant. We stand in solidarity with you against corruption and as we build a better South Africa. Once again, my condolences to the family on this great loss. Kind regards, Praveen Gordhan. Ladies and gentlemen, I just have one more thing I would like to read. We have been made aware of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation having a vigil at 5 p.m. this evening at the Gauteng Premier's office, and I would just like to take a second to read their poster at this time. Candlelight Vigil for Corruption Fighter Babita Deokaran. Date Thursday, 26 August 2021, time 5 p.m. The venue is the office of the Premier next to Mary Fitzgerald Square in Newtown, Johannesburg. Okay, so then you can RSVP with certain people. Babita was shot earlier this week outside her house. She was a whistleblower and SIU witness against PP corruption at the Gauteng Department of Health, where she worked in finance. We as the family are thankful of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation for hosting this vigil as well this evening. Then finally, I would like to call Mr. Darshan Deokaran, the nephew of Babita Deokaran, and he will do the vote of thanks this afternoon.
The past few days have been devastating for us as a family. The overwhelming love and support during this tough week has been greatly appreciated. We would like to place on record our sincere thanks and gratitude to the following: the management and staff of the Gauteng Department of Health, various media houses for their extensive coverage, and we know for a fact that you will not let Mahans stand against corruption ever be forgotten. The Gauteng Police Department for their diligent investigations which is ongoing, the residents of Tapa Springs, Councillor Sergio Dos Santos from the DA, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, the staff and colleagues of Babita Deokaran who are present here today, Green Heights Primary School for the use of this school hall, Mshlanga Funeral Services, family and friends and colleagues for their love and support. Where's Auntie Margaret? Where's Margaret? Margaret Kawa for dedication to my aunt Babita Deokaran for the past 22 years together with Diara. You are part of our family and we love and appreciate you always. We apologize if we may have omitted anyone unintentionally, but we thank you.
Thank you, Darshan, and thank you, everybody. At this time, I just want to remind you, if any of you have not viewed and you would like to view, please, you can do so. But also just a few reminders of the COVID rules, all still apply. Please ensure you are social distancing, sanitizing, keeping your mask on at all times. And we kindly remind you that there is no touching of family members allowed, especially Babita's daughter, and please do not cross the barrier. Thank you.
And that's the funeral service of Babita Deokaran taking place in Phoenix. She was murdered outside her home in Johannesburg this week, and that's her family and her colleagues sharing just how incredible she has been. Her colleagues remembering her as someone who understood the core values of ethical leadership. The family says they will continue to embody her in their hearts and souls, and thanking South Africans for the outpouring of love during this difficult time. We'll take a quick